Okay, hey fandom, welcome back. We've got a great show headed for you this week. I am joined, as always, by my co-host and colleague, Cowboy Joe, but we also have a special guest, Josh Klein of the Riot Report, of the Roaring Riot. We're going to go over the recap of the Week 11 game between the Carolina Panthers and the Detroit Lions. But first of all, Joey, Josh, glad to have you here. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks. I would like to. Can we stop the show? I don't want to derail it immediately, but is that a Zoom background, or are you literally in front of a Christmas tree, bro? It's not even Thanksgiving yet. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. No. We're. You have to at least wait until Friday. It's too much, man. It's too much.
Hey, I even have the lights outside.
Now, see, here's the other thing is that I love Christmas music. I'm a Jew. You may be able to tell by my face and attitude and the way that I talk with my hands, but I love Christmas music. So like I listen to it all December. Like I will just rock and roll. My wife gets sick of it. I will be like cooking and be like, the weather outside is frightful. It's
Hey, we're gonna keep this. I'm not editing this out here, Josh. We're gonna keep this.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed. If I was, I'm ready. Let's talk about it. Bon Jovi's "Please Come Home for Christmas," one of my favorite songs of all time.
Let's go out caroling. That's what I say.
Absolutely. Ring ting tingling too.
There we go.
All right. Well, anyway, Josh, we are glad to have you. Thanks for joining us again. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight and your opinions, as well as just really just having your knowledge about the team, about breakdown of film that we're going to go over and all that. So, welcome aboard. This is just kind of a quick breakdown of what we're going to discuss today. We want to recap the defensive stats. Obviously, it was a huge game, 20-0, a shutout. I want to ask you specifically, what did the defense do differently? Where was this, right? Where was this a couple games ago? Why is this new? And is this something that can be sustained? I want to go over some players who stood out to me and go over some film breakdown. I want to talk about PJ Walker versus Teddy Bridgewater, because it seems like that's a common topic. Did Carolina perform well, or did Detroit play bad? I think it's kind of a little bit of a mixture of both, but we'll get into that. We'll talk about the injury update and where we stand there with injury news. And then we'll talk about going into next week at Minnesota, 4-6 Minnesota against 4-7 Carolina. So that's our outline here of the show. Let's start off with the defensive stats. Yeah, I mean, as far as this is concerned, I mean, this is one hell of a defense that we saw, which is like, where did that come from, right? Before I kind of dig deep into this, is there anything that you want to say here, Josh, real quick about where this defensive effort came from and why?
Yeah, I think a lot of what Brian Burns and Matt Rule and attributed this kind of awakening of the defense. Obviously, it always comes down to pressuring the quarterback. Like 100% of the time, you can have the best cover corners in the world, but if you can't get Matt Stafford or whoever the quarterback is off their spot, you're never going to make any hay on defense. And as you saw, I think there was a little bit of game script that played into it. I think early on in the game, I don't think Stafford played very well. He had a couple of miscues early on the first couple drives. He had a third down throw that he just flat out missed to an open receiver that would have advanced them down the field. Adrian Peterson had a drop, and they were behind the 8 ball. And when they're in 3rd and long, and one of the things that the defense has talked about for most of this year is that, yes, the 3rd down statistics have gotten all the pub, basically. We always talk about how terrible they are on 3rd down, but they're really bad on 3rd down because they've been so bad on 1st and 2nd down. Like, it's a lot easier to pick up 3rd and 2 than it is to pick up 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why the Lions struggled so much on 3rd down, is they were facing a lot of 3rd and longs. And when you're facing a lot of 3rd and shorts, they didn't pick those up either. But when you're facing a lot of 3rd and longs, it allows you to pin your earbacks. You can send a few more blitzers. You can change the way that you're sending pressure, and you can make some adjustments if you're Phil Snow and kind of mix it up. Brian Burns said, they didn't know where I was coming from. And you're right. Like you could see they're early on. I think it's a 3rd and 9. They had 5 or 6 guys up at the line. They drop Marquise Haynes back into coverage. They send Derek Brown coming off the edge. And it's like, these are the kind of things that you can do when you're in 3rd and long. And I do think it threw the Lions off their game, because this is not a team that has blitzed a lot this season, and they did blitz a lot more.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess there was a little bit more on the side of the defense playing well, and then the Detroit offensive line not playing well. Of course, they had that horrible snap that resulted in a fumble recovery. So, yeah, I mean, they just started off poorly, and it was kind of like a house of cards just falling apart for Detroit, and it was the opposite for Carolina. But just looking at some of these things on the screen here, I mean, Brian Burns had 2 sacks. The defense totally, as a total, had 5 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for a loss. One thing I wanted to just kind of stress also too here is the sack percentage was 2.87 going into this week, into week 11. Now it's 3.08 after they had a 13.6% sack percentage for the game. Last year, their Carolina's sack percentage was 8.88. It was second best in the league next to Pittsburgh. Interestingly enough, this year, Pittsburgh also number 1. Guess who's second best right now? Do you have any idea?
Is it the Tampa Bay Bucks?
No, this is where I'm kind of going with this. It's Washington, right? Because Carolina was second best last year in terms of sack percentage. This year, it's now Washington. And again, the common denominator here is Ron Rivera. So
yep,
that's interesting.
He likes them sacks. He does. I mean, one of the things that Ron always, I mean, you looked up and down the media guide, and it would always talk about year after year the way that their defensive line performed. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talent on those defensive lines, but I do think that scheme had a lot to do with it. And he really, he knows that if you can pressure the quarterback, you can be successful. And obviously, they brought in Chase Young to do that in Washington. So that's certainly a core Ron Rivera tenet. And also having the same guys over and over at the bottom of your roster. That's another core Ron Rivera tenet.
And he's been doing that since San Diego. So he's been.
Yep, with San Diego as well. You're right. Yeah. So we all have heard the fact that, they forced 2 punts in 4 games. Well, this game they forced 6 punts. 6. I mean, we're talking about games that commonly have like 9 possessions per team, right? And this game, it was 11 for Detroit, but they forced 6 punts. That's outstanding. I still can't believe that. They held Detroit to 3 of 14 on 3rd down and 1 for 3 on 4th down. Again, excellent. Their 3rd down defense improved from 55.3, which is horrible. This was worst in the league, to 51.8. They are now not worst in the league anymore. Tennessee now has that. They're like 52 point something. But
just fun fact, both of those teams, if the season ended today, would set new NFL records for worst 3rd down percentage. So, so even 51.8 better than 55.3 still would be the worst in NFL history, if not for Tennessee.
And also 2020, you have to think though. Offense is just up, right? Because defense is down. Why is defense down? Because there's no crowd noise. You don't have to worry about that. I really think that's a factor that, I don't want to say that we need to put an asterisk on this season, but that's something we got to think about too. Well,
I think I know it's not on the notes here, but this is something that I've been kind of talking about the past few weeks, is that we spent the 2 months leading up to the season about how there was no training camp, there was no OTAs, there was no mini camp. The defenses were going to take some time to adjust. And then 2 weeks into the season, we completely forgot about all of those things. And we were just like, the defense stinks. And it's like, no, we knew this was going to happen. And now that we're a little bit further into the season, we've forgotten that all that stuff happened, especially not to mention, this team, the Panthers specifically, they flipped over 60% of their entire roster. You have 6 rookies starting sometimes on defense. Like it's a young defense. We knew they were going to be bad. So it's not really that surprising.
Gotcha. Moving on. So we talked about what the defense did differently. And we got to mention the pressure, the hurries, the sacks, and the quarterback hits. That was obviously up, and we'll go over some of that on the film breakdown too. But another reason why they didn't face an all-world quarterback. They've played Brady twice. They played Matt Ryan twice. Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Drew Brees. What was it? Panthers have faced the toughest schedule, I think, in the first 10 weeks of the season. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, according to Football Outsiders, they had the hardest schedule in the entire NFL. It doesn't get any easier for the rest of for down the stretch, but yeah, it was the hardest schedule in the NFL. And I do think that was one of the reasons why, you look at the Lions, and I just, if there are any Lions fans listening, Matt Stafford's a good quarterback too. So he's no slouch. It's not like you're going up against the Nooch or anything. So it's like, it is somebody that is still, can still hurt you if you let him out there. But I think Detroit is, according to Football Outsiders, was 25th in terms of DVOA, which is the worst team that the Panthers have faced thus far this season. And so obviously they were able to, do things against the Detroit team that they were not able to do against defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, or Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees, or Tom Brady twice, or Kyler Murray. Well, they were kind of able to do it against Kyler Murray, but
right. Next subject on here. There was no Tahir Whitehead and no Dante Jackson in this game. Whitehead was out with a rib injury. Dante Jackson, of course, the toe. Was that a huge factor? I mean, were Jermaine Carter and Stanley Thomas Oliver, were they difference makers here, Josh or Joey? You saw the game. I mean, what do you think?
I like Cornell Elder. He played really good. I think that fourth down play that he did against Marvin Jones was amazing. He read that play all the way. And I think he played well. That's what it is. These young guys need that confidence builder. And these games are going to help that. So they're going to get better and better. And I always liked Cornell Elder since he came out.
Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, you were one of the few that always liked Cornell Elder. Yeah. There were a lot of people that had some bad words for Corn, ready for him to get shucked. But I think that I think Jermaine Carter showed, he's gotten an opportunity in 2 games now, and he's played really well. He had a bunch of snaps when Jeremy Chin was out against the Chiefs, and then season high yesterday. Yeah, so I think that he has played really well. And Matt Rule said he was somebody that took a little bit of time to get used to the system. And Jermaine Carter said, he admitted it. He said, the 3 down lineman thing that they're doing, and they're dropping people back, and they're kind of doing that. Sometimes someone rushes, sometimes someone comes back, and who do you pick up? Are you in a zone? Are you in a man? Are you in a drop? What are you doing? Which gap do you have? Which is so incredibly crucial. It took him a little bit of time to get used to that. And now I think that he is getting a little bit more used to this Phil Snow defense. I think that he is showing that he's ready to have a role next year, which I think I'm weird in this way and I think I'm definitely in the minority that a lot of people they viscerally hate Tahir Whitehead. And I think that Tahir Whitehead has come in and done what his job which was to be kind of a calming veteran presence, a passover to teach these guys the defense, the young guys the defense, and then to not make too many mistakes, even though he did make some mistakes, but not to let these young guys go out there and lose their head and not be protected a little bit, and pass that torch along to Jermaine Carter as he learns in practice how to be an NFL player. And then maybe next year when he's not back, I mean, he only signed a 1-year deal for the veteran minimum. So it's like, to me, he's done what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good way to kind of break him down and his role, and kind of what our expectations are for him. So appreciate that. He's never a guy. He's a good, he's always, if you looked at his tape, he's an average to good run defender and a bad pass defender. And when you ask him to play run defense, he is average to good. And sometimes he makes mistakes. And when you ask him to play pass coverage, he's bad. So when you know his strengths and weaknesses, I think that he did okay for what they asked him to do. Gotcha.
I know that had nothing to do with what we were talking about, but
that's all right. It's all good.
As Carter matures, he learns that run defense more from Whitehead than anything. So I think you're right. That mentor role for Whitehead is perfect.
A lot of experience happening, and that's only going to be good down the road. So we all appreciate that. As fans, we appreciate that, especially in an NFC South that is aging faster. Every team is aging except for Carolina. They're the younger team. So the things are looking good for the future. Also, too, they only allowed 10 first downs in this game, which is outstanding. Their longest drive allowed was 42 yards, of which Detroit kicked a field goal and missed it. So obviously they didn't score any points. That was one heck of a defensive effort. So, all right, moving on. We've got some film breakdown I want to go over. We're going to talk about P.J. Walker, of course, the good and the bad being the 2 interceptions, but he also had some really good moments. Mike Davis, it seems like he is improving. He didn't really necessarily have a whole lot of yards in this game. He did score. Just the way that he's playing, his yards after contact, his patience, his Le'Veon Bell-like patience, letting the blockers develop, that's impressive. DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel and their route running and the play design, I want to go over that. Of course, Brian Burns, Yetur Gross-Matos, Justin Burris had a good game. Shaq Thompson, another good game. So I kind of want to go over that. So let's start with P.J. Walker, the 20-yard pass to Moore. This is also another one of P.J. Walker's better plays. If we go through this here, you see that he's on the run, and he makes the dart throw to DJ Moore.
This play to me is a perfect example of why Matt Rule made the right decision by not playing Teddy Bridgewater, even though Teddy wanted to play. Mm-hmm. A play like that where you're going to have to scramble out because like this offensive line, they're missing 2 starters. They are what they are on the offensive line, and they were always going to have some pressure. And Teddy Bridgewater, he already has the terrible knee, mm-hmm. and then to do another to you have to compensate for it because his other knee is hurt, and it's just don't do it. And so a play like this that PJ Walker is able to get out of the pocket, roll right, and hit DJ Moore kind of in stride. By the way, great play by DJ Moore. You can't see it on this angle, but DJ broke his route and came back on the scramble drill, who's the only guy on that side of the field. Everybody else, Robbie and I think Curtis and maybe Ian Thomas, were on the other side of the field, and DJ came screaming back across to give PJ this target. And it's one of the reasons why, Yep. Yeah, there's nobody else. So nobody either they don't see it or they can't get back over there.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why he was able to have 7 for 127. And also, he's getting better. He's in his 3rd year. He's getting to learn those tricks of the trade that when your quarterback breaks out of the pocket, you got to give him a target and start sprinting back towards the sidelines as fast as you can.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the first interception in the end zone, which is kind of puzzled here. Maybe it's because, he just lack of experience in the offense. He barely knew he was starter going into the game. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes we have to deal with this, I guess. But I don't know exactly why he made that throw. It also looked like he had Curtis Samuel coming open on the kind of coming across the right side there. Let me just –
Yeah, great play design from Joe Brady. You can see that that Curtis, if he'd held the ball for about 2 more seconds, Curtis would have been himself on the right side of the end zone. And then, it kind of looked to me like maybe he thought that corner was going to come up and take Robbie. This is something that you're going to have to deal with when your backup quarterback is making his first NFL start. Is he's going to misread the coverage and he's going to make a bad throw. It happens.
Hey, at least there's no sidearms on that one. So,
yeah, it's true.
No sidearms. No sidearms.
But this is the thing: is that victory makes everything else look okay. It covers up a lot of mistakes. So they win 20-0, and so you kind of think to yourself, well, PJ Walker threw 2 interceptions in the end zone, but they still won. And it's like, I mean, that would have been obviously it would have been a much bigger deal if they had lost 21-20.
Sure. Yeah, and this play here is the play where he throws long to Curtis Samuel trying to get him, and he kind of forces the throw, and he has Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore open in the middle of the field, and he just doesn't make that pass or make that decision. And, that's something
this
he'll
is
just
the
have
play.
to learn.
Well, it's one of those things where, everybody likes to bag on Teddy Bridgewater for taking they hate it when Teddy Bridgewater doesn't throw it deep. And it's like, these are low percentage throws. Like they just are. Like, I get it that yes, Curtis Samuel is open here. He's open. And so you should theoretically be able to put this on him and run for an 80-yard touchdown. But you could throw it very easily to DJ. And honestly, if you throw this thing out in front of DJ Moore, I'm pointing at the screen like anybody can see my point. If you throw this out in front of DJ Moore, like where your mouse is right now, DJ Moore is good enough where he could take that 80 yards for a touchdown. And that's that is a high percentage layup throw. Sometimes you got to take those layups, and that is something that Teddy Bridgewater is going to do. And sometimes it's going to be to a fault. He's going to miss somebody open deep. But there are also going to be times like this where it would have kept them on the field in a one-score game. Instead, they're punting the ball back.
Right, exactly. And here's the other interception in the end zone. This was in the fourth quarter, a chance to really put him away, and they allow the interception. I'm not really sure exactly what happened here.
It looked like there was a miscommunication there where he thought that, again, this is it's something where, when you don't have somebody taking full-time first-team reps, he obviously thought he read the coverage different from DJ Moore. DJ sat down a little bit in the middle of the end zone, and PJ throws it somewhere where DJ Moore was never going to be. And so, interception. That's how it happens.
Right. So, I mean, there were some good parts. There were some bad parts to PJ Walker. We've seen it. Curtis Samuel. This is where I wish that I could slow this down and show you exactly how I might be able to see. I cannot, for whatever reason, my controls aren't allowing me to rewind and fast forward the way I want to here. But when he's on this route, and you'll see it here on the replay, it looks like he's going to do a post route, and then he fakes inside, and he fakes out, and then he darts outside, and the pass is already in the air, and the corner is just burnt. He knew it right when he makes that step right there, and he just darts to the end of the end zone and makes the catch. And I'm not sure if Curtis Samuel has this kind of route running technique last year or the year before. I mean, this is just something that I've seen he's kind of picked that up this year, even more so.
Yeah, I think he is a guy that has definitely got better. Joe, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm amazed with the celebration.
Playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think so. Or Madden.
Yeah, he's a big Call of Duty guy. You know what I found that a lot of these guys, they like stream on Twitch, and just nobody really knows that it's happening. And so like Mike Davis will be streaming on Twitch playing Call of Duty, and like 3 people will be watching him, and he'll be talking to people. So like if you're a fan, if you want to talk to Mike Davis, like follow him on Twitch. And
definitely. I played NBA 2K with Kyrie Irving. He was there.
See, there you go. Yeah,
Play with these guys out there playing and having fun.
Curtis Samuel will run you in NBA 2K. He will run you in NBA 2K.
Oh, he killed me.
Yeah.
And you should see the following. People just follow people around everywhere.
Oh yeah,
so it's awesome.
All right, so this next one here, this is the DJ Moore run. And I want to play this. And if you notice here, if I can stop this here real quick, everyone's looking like it's going to be a run to the right. The tackles, the guards are all pulling to the right a little bit. And, of course, here comes DJ Moore with a handoff. And Curtis Samuel gets bumped up here with Alex Arma. And that kind of slows his effort down. Otherwise, Samuel could be down the field, and he could be blocking this guy. We'll see here in a minute. I'll stop it right here. If Samuel doesn't run into Arma, he probably blocks this guy right here, and DJ Moore has a cleaner path to the end zone. But he didn't get there in time, and therefore he stopped short. So that's that's a great play. It's a great play design, but it could have been better. And we'll see it here on the replay as well, where he gets caught up with Arma on the exchange.
Yeah, anytime you're running these gadget plays, you're always looking for the big play. I'm surprised they don't run more of these with Curtis, honestly. They do. I think they use him almost as like a decoy because you have that fake jet sweep motion that draws somebody, then he turns back around to block. What I like about what Joe Brady is doing is he has started to have some tendencies over the first 8 games, and now he's starting to break those tendencies, which is how you which is how you are successful at the NFL level. It's what Norv Turner was great at. He would show you something for 5 weeks, and you could almost like see it coming. You were like, okay, well, they're just running. They're like, Curtis Samuel is just running across in a jet sweep and never getting the ball. And it's like one of these times he's going to get the ball and he's going to run for a touchdown. And then sure enough, in week 7 is when it happens.
Yeah. Let's see. This is the Brian Burns. This is his first sack where he comes off of the edge. I think that's when he split with Obata.
Yeah, I would like to, like, while obviously Brian Burns is spectacular. He has been the Panthers' best player this year by leaps and bounds. But I think that what F.A. Abada has done this year has been nothing short of incredible. This is a guy that was an edge rusher, that was a defensive end at the beginning of last year, and they asked him to put on weight in order to switch to become a 3 technique in a 3-4. So he did that, put on 15 pounds last year. Then he came into this, and they said, hey, we're not running the 3-4 anymore. Can you put on a little bit more weight? And now we're going to teach you this new position. And he has legitimately been the only source of inside pressure for this team. Derek Brown has started to show some flashes recently, but Derek Brown is always, he's always going to be a guy that's going to take up blockers. He's going to do his job, and he's going to do it well. But F.A. Abada has consistently pushed that pocket and has gotten the quarterback to change his spot multiple times, and he just hasn't been able to get home. And then in the past 3 games, you've seen him get home. I think he has 3.5 sacks in the past month. Obviously, Brian Burns, you'll see it. If you run this play again, you'll see Brian Burns is involved. But if Burns doesn't get there, Abada is right there. Abada is the one that gets to Stafford first. So I think that he deserves a lot of accolades for what he's done this year. And when you talk about the guys that are young and part of this young core going forward, Abada should be part of that too. I think he's only 26 years old, so he is somebody that can be a contributor for a long time. 28, sorry, but still.
No, that's a good point about Abada. Is he playing mostly in that defensive tackle role?
Yeah, so ever since KK went out, they just don't have the defensive tackle depth. So he has played a lot of that. And the fact that that was one of the things that you have seen across this defensive line when they drafted it, when they signed guys, is that they like guys, whether it's Ichiro Gross-Matos, whether it's Derek Brown, whether it's F.A. Abada, whether it is Brian Burns, not as much, but even this new guy, Austin Larkin, you can move them around and you can put them in any spot, and they can either get to the quarterback, they can take up blockers, they can eat up a double team, whatever they need to do. But F.A. Abada, they have constantly relied on him to get those interior snaps, and it's really been just a testament to the hard work that he has put in, that he has been able to be successful at it.
Yeah, well, that's a great breakdown there. And this play, this is Brian Burns' second sack, and it looks like he's even kind of tired on this play. He doesn't get his regular normal jump that he normally does, and of course he's standing up on this as opposed to being 2 hands down. But looks like Detroit here, the left tackle blows the assignment, and Stafford is just open for the taking. Probably the easiest sack he'll have in a long time.
Burns made a joke about how he never gets freebies. And he said he described himself as tired as hell on this play. So you were not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he was gassed, and he's like, oh, all right, I got to rush it again. And then it just happened to be that the left tackle just kind of forgot about him. I think they showed again here in the replay. Hey, look, he's just like, I got to run. I got to run towards the quarterback. And the left tackle's like, yeah. That was pretty easy. I'm also surprised that this wasn't a penalty there.
Yeah, he does. He goes a little high. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like this is not the first time that he goes a little high. So he does that. He has a bit of a tendency to do it.
We were talking about F.A. Obada just moments ago, but here's his sack. Pretty easy sack.
Yeah, I mean, look at so you saw in the first one he's lined up as a 3 technique and a 4 down lineman. This play, he's lined up on. You see they have the 5 guys up front. The 6 guys up front, and then they drop everybody into coverage. And FA he's basically a 3-4 defensive end, and he just works that guy. Like, that guy never had a chance.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit of that is scheme, where the right tackle doesn't really know where the rush is coming from, so maybe he's a little on his heels. But a lot of that is Abada improving his rush.
Right, and it was Austin Larkin kind of helping out at the end there. What do you know about him? He's kind of a newcomer here in this defense.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that they really like. That one thing that Matt Rule has been really open about is that he didn't come in with any preconceived notions, and he really believes that if you work hard enough, you're going to get some opportunities. If you work hard enough in practice and on special teams, and you get the job done. And what he likes to do is he likes to get guys a few snaps on special teams, see how they react. Then if they play well on those few snaps, he'll get them more snaps on special teams. And then if they're good on those on like a full complement of snaps. So if you look back at the snap counts from last week and you see, okay, so Kenny Robinson played 15 snaps on special teams last week, you can say to yourself, okay, if his snap count is improving on special teams, that means he's probably going to break into the defensive rotation next. And then once he breaks into that defensive rotation, then it starts to go up. It's the same track that Austin Larkin did, same track that Jermaine Carter did, and it's the track that they wanted Troy Pride to do. Unfortunately, injuries forced Troy Pride into the starting lineup immediately. But it's what they did with Stanley Thomas Oliver too, is that was a guy that's played a few special team snaps, then he played more special team snaps, then he played a few snaps against Atlanta, and now all of a sudden he played 40% of the snaps against the Lions. Now obviously they were up 17-0, it's a little bit different, but that is how you're seeing him bring these guys along.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. And just the fact that they're able to do that, it's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? Okay, then now we're going to reward you. And, with good play and the ability to execute, sure, you can advance, if you will, up the depth chart. So it's good to know. This is the Yetur Gross-Matos sack, and here he is, number 97. You'll watch him. After he gets the sack, he goes crazy like it was his first NFL sack. But he had one a couple of weeks prior. Isn't that right? This is his second?
Yeah. I think it might have been because his family was in the crowd. I don't know whether they were there for his first one, but they were definitely there this past Sunday. So that may have been why he was so excited. Or, it's exciting getting sacks. Who doesn't like it?
It's fun getting sacks.
Yeah.
I've never gotten one. So
he's definitely charged up here. Look at that. Woo-hoo!
Hey, I could honestly say I sacked Chris Sims.
Wow.
Really?
There you go. That's an exciting one.
In high school with his father watching.
Hey, that's a nice moment. That's cool.
It was West Milford versus Ramapo to go to the playoffs. They beat us, but I got a sack. I'm happy about it.
There you go. Yeah, you're just chasing those stats, man. They lost, but you're happy with a sack? Come on.
Hey. Well, I wasn't there in the last play when he ran it in. They took me out.
Okay. All right. It's bad coaching.
Can't win them all. So I added this in here because this is when you get pressure on the quarterback, good things happen. Now, in this particular case, it wound up being an incomplete pass, but Derek Brown coming up on Matthew Stafford, he has nowhere to go. He has to get rid of the ball. Sometimes when that happens, you got an incomplete pass. You could have a turnover. You could have an interception for a touchdown. Who knows? But in this particular play, it resulted in a incompletion. And let's see, what is this? This is Brown right here, Derek Brown. And he just gets after him. Stafford has to throw it. And he almost makes this play, but it looks like Justin Burris just got a little fingertip on it to break it up.
That's the kind of play that maybe DeAndre Swift makes that catch.
Yeah, true.
Now, that being said, that would have been a pretty spectacular catch.
Right. Yeah, and Detroit definitely needed that, and they weren't able to get it. And then I think the next play resulted in another sack. Oh yeah, the Justin Burris near peanut punch. I don't know if you saw this live. You probably did because you see everything. But a long play to Hawkinson, but here comes Burris. Boom! He almost pops that ball loose right there. I know Justin Burris had a pretty decent game. I think he had 5 tackles or 6 tackles. He almost got the turnover here. Again, that's just good pursuit. Carolina won the game. They got the shutout, but they lost the turnover battle in this because of the 2 interceptions by Walker. But that looked like that could have been one.
Yeah, don't usually get the win when you lose the turnover battle.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then this was the Shaq Thompson breaks up the 4th down attempt and the game's over essentially. Well,
no, the game was probably over before this, but they at least this preserved the shutout.
Exactly, preserve the shutout.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson's been really good the past few weeks. I think he's in the top 10 in the NFL in terms of tackles. He was coming into the game. I don't know if that's still the case. I'm just going to keep rambling until I get to he's 9th in terms of combined tackles right now. He's 84. But I think that he has not only that, he has really stepped up from a leadership perspective. He was, stood up after they got blown out by Tampa Bay and was, cussing out the defense. And I do think that made a difference this week.
Let's move on to the next segment here. Did Carolina play well or did Detroit play bad? Like I said, I think it's a little bit of both. I thought Carolina played really well in terms of defense, but I also thought that Detroit played poorly on offense. The offensive line broke up. Of course, they had the turnover. The offensive line was giving up a lot of pressure, which normally, Carolina doesn't necessarily get that to the quarterback. But you got to give credit here to Carolina. I think they held Detroit to 40 yards rushing, 178 yards passing. Like we said, the game was totally dictated by pressure, and of course Matthew Stafford had that issue with his thumb. He had a ligament damage. So a lot of people were like, "Well, is he healthy enough to play? Is that the reason why Detroit faltered?" I don't know. It seemed like he's making his throws. Maybe he was a little bit off in terms of accuracy, and that had to do with his thumb. But, we can probably break this down an awful lot and get a lot of different opinions. But I don't know if we really will know if it was all Carolina or, all Detroit, kind of a little mixture of both. Your thoughts on that, Josh? Or Joey, feel free.
It's a combination of both. We know Stafford could play better. And, that thumb injury probably hindered him a little bit. But it's a combination of both. The defense stepped up for Carolina. Detroit's offense was not there. So I think kudos to the defense for playing the way they played. P.J. Walker did what he needed to do, and that's manage the game. He did that very well. Even though he threw 2 picks, I think he managed the game well, and the team was pretty spot on.
Yeah, and Detroit also, of course, they didn't have Kenny Golladay. They didn't have DeAndre Swift in this game. So, they were already hamstrung as well. Just like Carolina was too. You can make arguments for both teams, and it seemed like Carolina took advantage of their opportunities better than what Detroit did.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that it's a combination. You can only play against the guys that are out there on the field. So you shouldn't take credit away from Carolina for shutting out an NFL team, even though they were missing DeAndre Swift, Kenny Golladay. I do think that thumb issue had a lot to do with the way that Matt Stafford played. 54, I think he completed 54% of his passes. He's a guy that usually is over 60% every year since 2013. And, that those things make a difference. And I believe they averaged less than 4 yards per completion yesterday. And that is probably because can't throw it, doesn't want to throw it deep. And when he does throw it deep, throws it inaccurately. So,
right.
Yeah.
So it's good on Carolina for the win, but hey, let's move forward. And would they have beaten any other team with the same level of play that they had yesterday? We'll never know that, right? But you kind of have to think that Detroit playing bad was one of the reasons why. So, all right, team conversions. We look at this every week. The Panthers improved to 10th overall in the red zone defense. They're 19th in red zone offense, and they're no longer the worst defensive third down percentage. We already talked about that. Tennessee has that. So there's our conversions for the week. We'll get into this here a little bit deeper when we talk about Minnesota next. But areas to work on. I think, keep up the defensive intensity, make stops on third down, control the game, limit drives, and force field goals. And for the most part, they've been doing that, especially with their red zone defense. But limiting the drives is another thing. Of course, forcing punts is important as well. Stopping the run against Kansas City, they only allowed 30 yards rushing. Against Tampa Bay, 210 yards. Of course, that 98-yard run to Ronald Jones was 50% of this. And then Detroit, they held them to 40 yards. Granted, DeAndre Swift was out, and Adrian Peterson didn't necessarily look like the Adrian Peterson that we've seen before, but still, they're looking good. They need to stop the run against Minnesota coming up because that could really, really hurt them. The pressure that they need to get, we talked about this before, quarterback pressure. Pressure forces poor decisions, inaccurate throws, turnovers, and it also kills momentum too. So it seems like these are fairly similar each week, but any thoughts from you guys on this or something else that we can add?
Well, going into next week, definitely stop Dalvin Cook. That's one thing. And I'm afraid because of what Tampa Bay did to you guys. And, Dalvin Cook is big runner. He's big. Yeah. And he likes to pound. So he likes to look to people to hit. And I think this is going to be a good breakout game for the defense if they're able to stop him.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a test for them. I mean, I think that when you look at Kansas City never even really tried to run the ball, mostly because they were content to pick up 12-yard pass plays every time, like they do. And Detroit, I mean, they also, I think game script kind of played into that. And when you're never converting third down, you're not going to be able to run the ball very well. So
right.
I am a little bit worried about what Dalvin Cook, what a team that focuses in on the run and they plan to run the ball a lot is going to be able to do against this Carolina defense. But you never know. That's why they play.
That's true. That's right. So we'll see. Josh, this is kind of where I want to get some more insight from you on this because we've got week 12 coming up and then there's the week 13 bye. So do you think Carolina is going to rush Christian McCaffrey back or do you think they'll sit him out one more game so we can have the bye week as well? Not just McCaffrey, but also you got Russell Okung, Dante Jackson. Will he come back until we probably don't see him until after the bye? What's the deal with John Miller, Dennis Daly, that kind of thing? So your take on injuries.
I thought ESPN mentioned that McCaffrey was going to be out for the Viking game.
What's that? I'll just go down the list. Ready?
Yeah.
No, yes, no, 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 yes, no. Yes. I think Tahir is going to be eligible to play, but I don't think that. I think that Jermaine Carter may have taken his spot, honestly.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good.
I think Teddy was so close. Teddy really was close to playing on Sunday, and I do think that that Rule had to make that decision himself and say you're not going to play, even though Teddy wanted to, and you're just not going to be able to keep him off the field in Minnesota. It's just not going to happen. And in my mind, if I was Matt Rule, that would have been part of my pitch to him this week. I would have been like, "Hey Teddy, buddy, like
rest up, and we'll see you in Minnesota."
Yeah, exactly. Like let's keep you on the field so we can bring you back against your former team. This Lions game means nothing, and they stink. So we can get this win anyway without you.
Nice hindsight. I like that.
Yeah, of course.
Like that a lot. So yeah, I guess the bottom line is we're not going to see the majority of these guys until week 14 to do the bye week coming up in week 13. So that's good news for some, because hopefully they'll be healthy and they'll be ready to play, and they could be 5-7 entering that game.
Absolutely, 9-7 the hard way.
So Minnesota, this is what we've got. The Vikings pass defense has allowed 5 games of multiple touchdown passes. That's good news for Bridgewater or whoever's quarterback. They've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown by a running back since week 5. So that's a little bit of a concern. And they have not had a 100-yard wide receiver since week 6. The Panthers, of course, with 2 excellent wide receivers, and you can even say 3 with Curtis Samuel in that mix too. But Minnesota is number 1 in the NFL in red zone percentage on offense. 78.1% of the time when they reach the red zone, they score. And big reason there, Dalvin Cook. but also Adam Thielen. Although I think I just heard Adam Thielen is on COVID
He's on COVID protocol, so I don't think he's going to be playing this week.
Yeah, who knows whether it's close contact? The COVID rules seem to change depending on how big of a star you are, but that's more of a conversation for a different podcast, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So any more thoughts that we've already said, other than what we've already said about the Minnesota game coming?
I think a lot of people tend to look at Minnesota and they say Kirk Cousins stinks, and then they're just kind of like move on past it. But this Minnesota offense is downright terrifying. They average the most yards per play of any team in the NFL. Not the Chiefs, not the Packers, not the Bucks, not the Saints. It's the Minnesota Vikings. And Justin Jefferson is a legitimate wide receiver one. If Thielen is out there, they are going to struggle. The Panthers are going to struggle to cover those guys. And Kirk Cousins will be totally fine if the Panthers choose to run a soft zone and let him dink and dunk it down the field all day. And if you're going to run that soft zone, it's going to be tough to stop Dalvin Cook. So I think that this is going to be another one of those kitchen sink style games that you saw in Kansas City, where you're going to have to pull out all the stops if you want to get this win, especially on the road. But again, doesn't mean they can't. They've been in all these games so far, so I think that is certainly a possibility when they head to Minnesota.
Yeah, and Dallas just beat them, right, Joey?
Yes, we did.
So anything's possible. Anything is possible. All right. Well, hey, before we let you go, Josh, tell us what's going on with you, with the Roaring Riot, with the Riot Report. Anything you want to share? I know you had the big the fan zone in the stadium. How did that go?
Yeah, so the team and the Roaring Riot work together. If you don't know what the Roaring Riot is, it's essentially the fan union supporter group of the Carolina Panthers. So if you're a fan of the Carolina Panthers, we take trips to every single away game. Not this year, but every other year. Take a big group of Panther fans to every. We had over 1,000 Panther fans together in London. We have literally our own section in the Tampa Bay at Raymond James Stadium, right underneath the pirate ship. And when you look at this team, this Panthers game over the course of the season, and there are a lot of away fans that come to Bank of America Stadium. When you look at the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Bears, the Eagles, the Jets, I'll just keep naming teams. The Giants, the Saints, they're the Packers. We
said the Bears, right?
Yeah, the Bears. Exactly. Well, the Bears came to town and were chanting "Let's go Bears" while Justin Burris was getting carted off the field. This is the kind of thing that the team and David Tepper in general didn't want to see. And so what he did was, obviously unprecedented times with COVID-19, and they were able to carve out three different sections, 308 through 310, that are specifically designed for the Roaring Riot, for the biggest Panther fans that are there to cheer on third down, stand up, chant, almost like a student section that raises the level of noise and effort and just energy in the entire stadium. And I can tell you, you can feel a palpable difference on third down, big plays. The Roaring Riot section is standing and screaming and pounding their chairs, and the rest of the stadium is sitting on their hands because it is what it is. So I think that, if you're interested in being one of those fans that is loud and proud and screaming and wants to have that kind of Carolina Panthers home game experience, you do it. You go on roaringriot.com, check out tickets for both the Broncos and the Saints games. Still some tickets left. And as the Panthers have done all season long, totally socially distanced. You stay in your own pod. Everybody's wearing masks. You have hand sanitizer when you walk in. You do feel really safe. I joked to somebody that I feel safer at Bank of America Stadium than I do at the grocery store, because they are vigilant about ensuring these rules and making sure that everybody stays safe. So it's just fantastic. And then also go to the riotreport.com and read about the Panthers and follow me on Twitter.
There you go. So Josh, if I'm a fan and I want to go to that section, I would have to go to the roaringriot.com and go either to the Broncos or Saints. game.
Yep. So
and see what
right up there at the top,
bubble?
it says, right up there at the top, it says it's Roaring Riot section tickets. Click on that, and you'll get all the information that you want. You
Got
can also
it.
become a member of the Roaring Riot. There, and you know what? I'll just go ahead and fill you guys in. These are pretty deeply discounted tickets, so we were able to work out a pretty good deal with the team to get a nice deal on it. So you're not going to pay an arm and a leg to get in the building. So
That's good. That's helpful. That's
it always is, right?
yeah. All right. Well, hey, Josh, we appreciate you coming on the show as always. Thanks for sharing your insight and your knowledge and helping us break
Absolutely.
down some film, the players, the game, of course. And we look forward to talking with you in the future.
And you'll see us there. I'm definitely going to join that.
Come on down. You can't wear a Cowboys jersey there, dog. It's only for Panthers fans.
I'm not going to do it.
Only for Panthers fans.
Like I said, this is my second team. I love this team. You know, I'm falling in love with it more and more. So this is my second team, and I'm always going to root for them.
You got to answer trivia questions about Julius Peppers and Tumunga Biaka Batuka before you can get in the door. So
good, because I was practicing up on my Ray Caruth ones.
There you go. Yeah, that's.
and we ended with that. How about that? All right. Well, Josh, we appreciate that so much. Thanks again, and have a happy Thanksgiving, Joey.
Definitely have a happy Thanksgiving.
You as well.
Joey's on to Christmas already, so Thanksgiving's over for at his household. It's fine.
That's right. That's all right. Thanks so much, Josh, and we will see you, fandom, next week when we recap the Week 12 game against the Minnesota Vikings. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.